Johnny. Thanks for joining me today. I really appreciate that. We've known each other for quite a while now, but these other lovely people may not have known you that long. So would you like to introduce yourself to everybody, please?
Yeah, thanks, Shona. Yeah, cheers, appreciate it. Yeah, I'm Jonathan. I'm Jonathan Heavens, not Jonathan Trustmix. I'm starting I'm building just in the process of almost finishing a property platform called Trustmix. My background is I was a finance director for a startup company for the last 5 years, where it ended in 2019. Obviously, because of COVID, it's lost a few years, right? So I was a finance director. I'm a chartered accountant by trade, and during COVID last year, I had a little bit more time in my hands. I'm going to get more into property investment. I've got one buy to let that I've had for a number of years, and I was looking up in the northeast and sort of decided to take a step back because of my inexperience around the refurb side of things, and also with the exits with COVID, just around the uncertainty. I suppose there's a little bit about being an accountant in that, am I too risk averse? I don't think so. I decided to take a step back, and I was just finding that as I was networking and chatting to people, there's a bit of a room for improvement gap on the due diligence process and how we assess who we want to do business with or hire or even be hired by. So that's sort of what's brought about me going down the road of building this platform. And from my background in the startup, being a bit of a fly on the wall to how things are built, I've got a team of people that I've brought along on the development side, on the coding. So they're geeky like programmers. So it's good, and it's been good fun over the last 10 months.
Excellent. I love the way you're like geeky, and then you realize that some people might find that offensive, and then you just that.
You've got geeky, nerdy. I'm a bit of a geek. I love Excel. I'd say I'm a massive Excel nerd, geek. Insert whatever word.
I would say you are as well. Actually, I quite like the word boffin. I feel I use that at school, but kids don't like it. Yeah,
that's old school. That's an old school term.
I am old school. I am old school. So anyway, sorry, back to you. That's fantastic, all the stuff that you've been working on. So tell us a little bit about how Trustmix kind of works and why people might like to use it.
Yeah, sure. It's a good question, and one that I've had to refine as I've been trying to explain to people what it is and what the point is of what we're trying to build. One way of describing it is, hopefully it's okay to say this, is like it's a bit of a mix between Checkatrade, Trustpilot, and LinkedIn, or it certainly will be as we build it out further. The main objective is that I want to make the process easier and less risky to search for and find and also be found by other people in property, in the property community, and not necessarily just for property investors or sources, but for literally all types of people that exist in property. So management agents, solicitors, accountants, brokers, even like JV partners. It's to try and find others, because you just see a lot of people in Facebook groups and in WhatsApp groups, and generally networking, which we all love to do, always asking about recommendations. And it's just to try and go that step further of how do we decide who we want to do business with in a little bit of a better way, or a more robust way that helps to reduce risk. I'm not saying that I can eliminate risk, but I think there's an environment for where we can hopefully lower that risk. And also another sort of type of business model or platform that I think we hopefully a bunch of people listening know is like Fiverr or People Per Hour or Upwork. So those freelance based sites where you can go on and find like a graphic designer to do a logo, or someone else do something that you need doing in starting a business. And there's those things that you look at, because we typically look at reviews, recommendations, and it helps us in our decision making. Similar to also like Airbnb. So when you choose somewhere, what do you look for? How do you assess whether you want to go with one place as opposed to another? And I think that exists a lot because property is very much a people industry.
Yeah, I mean, listening to what you're saying about recommendations, I think property is a lot about, oh, this person recommended this person, but it's still usually going off one person's recommendation because the whole
Yeah, right.
industry doesn't really tie together extremely well. Because I do a lot of stuff on Facebook groups and stuff, but again, the groups are kind of split, and each group kind of has its own agenda because they're usually trying to sell something in the background. So then it can be a bit complicated to know who's real, who's not, because also when you start out you still have to
Yeah,
try and be as confident as possible, otherwise you're never going to go past that first stage, right? So it is quite difficult. um
absolutely.
so what am I going to say? So the what is it that brings that together for you? How is that going to work and makes your platform different?
Yeah, sure. And I think it's important for me to say, like, I'm not trying to say that it's that the whole industry is or the community is fundamentally broken, that things don't work. It's that what I'm looking to do with Trustmix is to have it as another tool for people to use to make things a little bit better and to try and collect that information so that you can make decisions better. It's not to say it's impossible for me to say, right, I'm going to eliminate risk. I'm going to make it so that you can find someone and have a successful business relationship, or hire someone and it all go, amazingly well. You still need to build up those relationships. You still need to build rapport and do all the things that we really understand. It's really just a tool. And I think we use tools all the time, not necessarily just in property, but it's like if you go on Amazon, you buy a product on Amazon, like you're using that mechanic of, okay, how many other people have bought the product, or what score have they got? Like that's in effect, that's a tool. It's a way to help us in our decision making. So that's what I'm looking to do with Trust Mixes. And also what you're saying about the Facebook groups, it's not to say that, oh, everyone's got their own agenda and everyone's got like this and that, and it's the I just want to make it so that we can do our like due diligence and to do and check and to be able to be informed to make good decisions. And yeah, so what I've kind of I'm going back into like the geeky boffin sort of nerdy territory here, is that I've created a rating system, which is the backbone of it is an algorithm which is on a bit of a points-based system. But it's not anything, I wouldn't say it's anything new. Maybe I'm being modest. It's so it's like if you went on my Facebook profile and you saw that I had like 3 friends, my account was a week old, and I had some posts about hopefully I don't pee too many people, like a post about cryptocurrency, or then someone's level of trust on me might be fairly low. Whereas if you went on and you saw that we had like mutual friends, or we were in similar property Facebook groups, and similar connections, then your level of trust on me would be higher. And what I'm doing is I'm looking to take those things and say, right, you get some trust points for that. If you've got a business email address as opposed to maybe a Gmail, which is completely okay if you do, but if you've got a business email address, you get some trust points for that. If you've got a limited company, you get some trust points for that. That doesn't mean to say that you're trustworthy, but it's a contributing factor to enhancing trust. And then we're just wrapping that up into a score to say, Shona is a 3.8 out of 5 or a 4.2 out of 5. And here's a breakdown of things that we verified. So if you've got a sourcer, the verification thing might be, okay, are they a compliant sourcer? That might be like one element of it. So it might be, okay, are you part of, are you a member of the ICO, redress scheme, HMRC, AML, or professional indemnity insurance? And then those things contribute to enhancing trust, right? As opposed to you not having those things. And then you've got like social proof. So do you have an Instagram account? Do you have a LinkedIn account? Do you have a Facebook account? All of those things on its own doesn't mean that you're trustworthy, but they're contributing factors to like enhancing the chances of you being more trustworthy rather than less trustworthy. So it's just trying to take those things that we do all day long, and every time we're having conversations, especially we do in property on more on Zoom these days, and hopefully less so now. It's just trying to build that into a picture that helps us to say, oh right, I've got a list of so part of the platform, or one of the main features at the moment is the search feature. So you can go and say, right, I'm looking for I want to find sources who source in the Northeast, and you can filter down on sources, and you filter down on the Northeast, and it'll go from, say, like from 60 people. It'll say, right, I've got a list of 50 sources here. and 30 of them deal in the Northeast. What strategies do they do? Okay, they do flips, or they do buy, refurb, refinance. They specialize in those. Are they compliance sources? Tick yes. All right, yeah. So I only want to, now you're down to like 5 or 6 who are like compliant and they've gone through your criteria. And then you can make contact with them. So they'll be like your Facebook, LinkedIn, website, and you can then, you're away, you can make contact with them. And that's sort of how I've been building out Trustmix, is to have it so that you can go on and use it as a tool to find other people, and then you've got a snapshot of who that person is, or a better view.
So, well, you just said that you can contact them. Do you have to contact them through their links, or can you contact them directly through Trustmix?
Yeah, it's a very good question. And when I first started out, I did waste a little bit of time on the development, because I went down the road of, well, like Facebook, you've got a messenger system, so you can message people, and we just do that all day long. We don't really think about it. So I was like, right, I want to have Trustmix to have a messaging, so that you can message people. So you can go on and you just like, oh yeah, message and pop up. But it's a very difficult challenge when I'm at the early stages of the platform. Like at the moment, we've got 68 users that are on there. People have signed up. Well, 67 including myself. Yeah, so that's going to be more, that can happen as we go down the road. But to start with, we say, right, let's just have these social links so you can still make contact, because utilize these platforms, right, these ways to communicate with people. But also we've got where you can email, so you can show whether you're happy with others seeing your email address, if it's your business email address or your mobile phone number, and you can be contactable. But you have to, if you're on the platform, you have to select that you're happy for that, just because obviously you want to be GDPR compliant, and to make sure that that people feel comfortable with the information that they're sharing.
I went onto my profile today actually, and I think that bit had been added since last time I was on, because I don't remember it being there before. So yeah.
But even that gives you additional trust points, so that enhances your score. Because I suppose if you think about it in a very sort of crude way, if you say, right, you've got your email address or your mobile phone number, but it's not visible, then you could even question, well, you're more trustworthy if I'm, here's my phone number or here's my email address, feel free to contact me anytime you want, because it's a point of contact as well. Whereas if you don't have any presence online, some people might think, and everyone's within their right to obviously not have, like, I'm not on Facebook, and you know people that say, oh, I'm not on Facebook, I'm not on, and that's good. That in some ways that's a good thing, but within property, it's important to understand those touch points, and those, like, because obviously it's like on a worst case scenario, if if an investor gives someone some money and then they run off with all of the money, it's like, well, and you can't find them anywhere. Having those additional touch points help to increase the level of comfort, and to make that decision making a little bit easier, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I was actually talking to somebody the other day, and they had a builder take, I think, 70,000 from them. So that's a lot of money, and property is a lot of money, so it does make it more dangerous, especially when you're I mean, some people like hands off, right? So they might give their money to somebody and say, yeah, just look after it, buy the property, do it up, rent it out, give me my return in 5 years or whatever. That's a long time to wait, and who knows where those people will go in those 5 years, right? And also, I can think of a good use of Trustmix actually, because I am in the middle of considering leaving my managing agent in the Northeast, and I'm like, well, how do I decide who I move on to? Like, I mean, you can Google it, but
yeah,
how do I decide? I don't know. So having something like you said that pulls together all the data would be really helpful.
That's exactly a great use case, and that's what I want for Trustmix down the line. Hopefully, I'm going to do everything I can to grow it as much as possible, because my goal is to get north of 30,000 people on the platform, and that's really crudely just taking like the top 5 property investment Facebook groups, which have north of 30,000. I think All About Property has, I think, like 48 last time I checked. I don't know the exact number, but so it's like, okay, that's my sort of benchmark, because that would be great if you can get a centralized place that has really good information for you to decide. Okay, then you can go on and say, right, I'm looking for a management agent based here, and then you can go play from that. It's similar to how Checker Trader works, right, with tradespeople. you can go on, and it's those reviews and that bit of information that helps you decision make.
Yeah, it definitely will be helpful, like you say, to have it all pulled together, because I've already spoken to somebody and I'm considering using them as an agent, but I've only had one conversation with them. So
Exactly, and you want to have more. You want to be able to have a wider pool, a wider net that's easily accessible. And sure, you can go and ask people, and you can go in WhatsApp groups and Facebook groups, and that's completely fine. And we do that all day long. I just think I'm trying to have another option, like here, come use Trustmix, and you can also do that process, and hopefully it's going to be easier and less risky.
is there, I mean, when I went on actually earlier, my score was really low and I was like, oh, that doesn't look good. So is the score something that, will it promote tips of, oh, to increase your trust on Trustmix, you should do XYZ? Is that how it works?
Absolutely.
I need
Yeah. I was up till about 4 o'clock the other night, rebalancing or trying to. So I've made a geeky spreadsheet. I sat down with my partner and showed her it, and she had a lot of patience for me going through this spreadsheet of if I adjust these points for this. I wanted to get the balancing right, so that, because at the moment, if you do go on and it does need work, I don't want people to feel like, oh, your score is really low, but also I want to present the things that you can do to increase your score, so that you can go on and say, oh, if I have a business email address, I get like this number of points, or this, my score goes up by that, my overall rating goes up by this, or if I become a compliance officer, so if I fill this information in and submit a verification, we then go and check, and then we come back and say, yep, I'm happy with Shona's ICO, happy with the redress scheme. That gives you, that enhances your score. If you can see clearly and transparently the things that will increase your score and boost it, then you can see, oh, right, straight away, I can go and do this, and this, and I'm going to start a score of 3.5. And then, okay, now if I go and get 10 recommendations, so 10 people to recommend me, then that's going to boost my score up to 4.2. And then if I get another 10, that will go up to 4.6 or something. So that's one of the things about the rating, is that I don't want it to be like, and I jokingly say, I don't want it to be like the 7 secret ingredients in KFC. I want everyone to be able to see all of the things that you can do, and so that it's completely transparent, because I think it should be.
I agree that the transparency is really important, because otherwise there's nothing to say that people couldn't pay money to get a better rating, right? And that's the whole point, that this has nothing to do with how much money you have or how famous you are in property already. It's literally put down all the facts and you will give them tips on, oh, to improve your score, you can do XYZ. But some people already be
absolutely. Yeah, and when it all boils down to it, whenever there's like a challenge, or there's a challenge like in my head, but also if as I'm chatting to people, and there's always like really interesting questions that come up. It's you go back to, or I fall back to, what things contribute to enhancing trust. I'm always saying contributing to enhancing trust. So exactly. It's like being transparent. Is there a pay to win? And people could also challenge Trustmix as a platform, which I want to really put it all out there and just say, like, I'm not doing any of these things. It's not about, oh, I'm going to get a backender from someone for doing this, and then I'm going to promote them over some other people. Because I suppose we can go into like, okay, well, how do we make money? Because I don't want to be a charity. But I was speaking to like 5 or 6 brokers over the last couple of weeks, and they were talking about like the referral structure. So if they generate any business from, because it's also going to be a lead generator for all different types of services that exist in property. So it'll be a place where you can go on and you say, right, I'm looking for investors, or I'm looking for such and such to find me business. So brokers is definitely going to be a useful, hopefully a lead generator and a business generator for them. But if they're then saying to me, oh, by standard, Jonathan, we'll give you 20% kickback on any business we make from Trustmix. And I'm like, okay, yeah, cool, that's cool, that's good. That sounds good. But then if you've got another broker that says, okay, we're going to give like 10%, and then another wants to incentive like, oh yeah, we'll give you 40%, then I don't want there to be conflicts of interest. So we need to, and we haven't got this. This is a work in progress. This is very much a beta. So we haven't got everything like ironed out, and I really want it to be led by by the people that use it, by you and by by everyone in the community. So we want to do those things because so it sort of has to be just on that point. It would need to be flat fee, so it need to be like a flat referral if that is the road that we go down. Because I don't want to seem to be in bed with anyone and to have those because I want Trustmix to be the conference room that where people show up and they can go around the room and chat with people, and then they can have a little like something above their head that says who they are, how many recommendations they got, what their verifications are, social proof, all those things. And then you can then choose who you want to go up to, and then you filter down that list from there. I don't want to be seen to be going down one road or having preferential treatment to one person over another, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So tomorrow is a big day for you. Do you want to say a little bit about what's happening tomorrow?
yeah. I suppose there's always more that we can do to get in a position where I feel ready, and in some ways it is fairly uncomfortable because I've got a list of about, I think last time I checked, about 75 things that I could do in order to get it into a position to launch it, to make it more publicly available. So we're launching publicly tomorrow at www.trustmix.io. From March, we've had a beta version, which is more of a closed beta, where when I've been doing Zoom calls and building up contacts and doing networking, I've been sending out like the beta link to a more of a closed group, and we've got 68 people that have signed up. But I just want to make it more publicly available. So that's happening tomorrow. It's going to be around about 12 o'clock. It really depends how the development goes overnight, where we're transferring it over. And then I've just been working. I feel like it's been non-stop for the last 3 or 4 days to try and get all the content ready and to get all the bugs ironed out. There's still bugs, and if anyone listening, if you do sign up, just please, with a pinch of salt, it's not going to be a finished piece, but feel free to feedback any suggestions or comments or advice on what you think is going to be useful, because that's really what I want to do, is create a platform that is most useful to people, right?
I think what's really interesting is like you're openly saying like it's not a finished thing, you're working on it. And I know you, like you said, you've been working on it for 10 months, right? So it's been a very long journey, and I know that you like things to be perfect, but there is a point where you're like, well, you have to get it out there to get the feedback, because nothing's ever perfect, and actually it means that people can come on this journey with you. So hopefully that will mean that people have got more buy-in to like what's going on, because myself as well, can be part of. I mean, I feel like I've been quite a bit of it. We have conversations.
You've been so helpful. You've been so helpful with your Sunday group, and with there's been a bunch of people that you've put me in touch with, so I really thank you for that.
Sorry about that. But yeah, like it's nice to be on a journey with you, because obviously I'm new to property as well. And yes, actually in my group there are quite a lot of people that are quite new to it, and I feel like we're all kind of growing together. And it's nice that now you're opening those doors and being like, do other people want to come play with us, come learn with us? So that's kind of cool. I like that.
Yeah, and I have to I think I mentioned earlier about that there is also disclaimers that I need to make, like just because you can't, I don't want people to go on a Trustmix and you need and not for you need to understand what it is about, and also that it doesn't mean to say that you can go on there and absolutely trust everyone that you go on there. You still need to do and take ownership and responsibility of your own due diligence process, but this is a tool to use to help in that process. And I think that's why I've been a little bit I want to get enough of it right until a point when we make it more publicly available, just so that everyone really understands what page I'm on and the direction I want to go down. And it's not just a get rich quick scheme so I can go out and buy a Ferrari. This is a longer term thing. And I'm really happy with the people that I've been speaking with, and everyone's so supportive. And I mean, that's what the property community is so great about, is that everyone just wants to help each other out. But in the same way, people stand to lose a lot of money when things go wrong in property. So I think there is a room for improvement gap that hopefully I can do my bit with.
Cool. And I know obviously there's loads of compliance stuff to do with property, and I know you've had to do like so much research. So who are kind of like I don't know if you want to name drop anyone, but that you've talked to a lot of people about, because I know that you want to do it properly. You're not just making this up. Like, so are you allowed to name drop? Is that bad? Who have you been talking
How
to?
do you mean? In what way?
Like, who's been helping you work out what are the bits that you have to do compared to what it would be nice if it did this, but actually, in terms of compliance, we need to know that they've got A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Like,
Yeah, absolutely. I've taken a lot from, because the thing is, I've only got one buy to let. I've not been in property for 10, 15, 20 years. I'm not a seasoned person, but in terms of from my background, like being a qualified accountant, it does give you sort of a level of professionalism, integrity, and sort of standards to sort of go by, certainly in my finance world. So I've had to learn a lot about what it means to be like different types of professions, because we're not just doing sourcer and investor, we're doing all of the different types. So I'm learning about like gas engineers and developers and estate agents and architects from speaking with various people. On the sourcer side, like Tina Walsh, her group and also Tina herself has been super, super helpful, because she is just the go-to person when it comes to the world of sourcing and what it means to be compliant. So yeah, she's anyone who's getting into sourcing, or probably already knows Tina, but she's been super helpful. John Corey, he's so Property Fortress. Yeah, John's been he's been a bit. He can be very very honest, which is what you want to hear. It's one thing like having people that are really super supportive, and that's a really great thing. But you also need to be for people to be critical, and sometimes too critical. And that John is, I think, he's got that balance where he says things that you might not want to hear, but it really makes you think. And hopefully, what I'm doing with Trustmix is better for it. And then there's a lot of people that it's just it's great. There's been lots of conversations, and every conversation I'm listening, I'm writing notes down, and what I'm really happy about is that I'm in a position where I left my last company with I left with like some vested share options, so I didn't just have to go straight back into work, and it just afforded me a little bit of time and space. And I've not got children. I've not really got any significant responsibilities. I'm 33 now, and I want this to be like to put all of my time and energy into it. So I'm doing like part-time freelancing as a part-time FD, about like 9 or 10 days a month, and all of my time is spent in Trustmix, and it's it's great. It's good fun. I think that's what I'm saying to a lot of people. It's good fun what I'm doing, and having the resource available on the development side to build something like this, because I'm not a coder. I'm learning. I'm learning bits and pieces, but it's great to have someone on the design side and two people on the development side, and then I'm ultimately driving the ship and like calling the shots. But it's great to just get feedback from everyone.
cool. So if anyone else out there was thinking of starting up, they've got an idea, like you one day had this idea, and they're thinking of pursuing it, what would be your key bit of advice that you gave to that person?
I think talk to people. I think networking, that's really what's helped bring Trustmix to life, is by networking, listening. I think sometimes people can go, okay, what's the problem, and then what's the solution, and so it's really just by listening to people, but trying in a I've been trying to do that in like a sincere way, and this has sort of come out as a side effect, rather than okay, I'm going to go with this to make this amount of money and whatever. And yeah, I think like networking, talking to people helps. And I do think maybe I'm being a bit, I don't know, modest. I do feel like I'm in a fortunate position, because I do have good friends from the previous startup company, so the resources to be able to help me build stuff and that I might not have access otherwise. So I do feel like I am a little bit fortunate in that position, but I guess it's just a case of ironically building up that trust and those relationships to help you in your journey. Like the other show, like Jordan is a really great example. He's absolutely like smashing it and setting himself up as a sourcer, and he's getting everything so right. So just hats off to him.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for today. I really appreciate it. I've now got 19 minutes to edit this and put it up on YouTube. So I better get off so I can get to work, and I will speak to you soon. I'll see you later, mate.
Thanks.
See you
Cheers.
later.
Bye.
Bye.